So welcome to Bunny's Designs. This is a live stream, live peoples, and recorded for Ustream.tv and also for YouTube for people to watch at their leisure. I'm still working in the Johanna Basford, Johanna's Christmas colour book, and I've added I've traced a few of her designs and reversed them and filled them in, and done that with pencil so that I love this ivory background, but I just want it to be a little bit full and then I can just leave it. And I find that they look better kind of with more in them, and there's more to colour. But you do make twice as much work for yourself. So where a page would take you a couple of hours, it probably takes 3 to 4 hours because there's twice as much drawing and twice as much colouring. So the tracing and the drawing takes about an hour. And I'm then going over it with an isograph 0.25, and that seems to be almost the exact same width as the black line that's printed. So, and you'll have to forgive if I get my hair in the way because I'm a little bit gruntled. Disgruntled, I think Ken Dodd says. I'm not gruntled, I'm disgruntled. Because I bought, when we went to, I'm just going to think how I'm going to bring that forward. Probably that way. When we went to the sorry, I forget what I'm saying and I forget what I'm doing. When we went to the Star Trek 50th anniversary destination, Star Trek, I dressed up as a Uhura and I dyed my hair black and cut a fringe because I thought, well, the fringe will grow back. And I used a washout 6-week dye. Yeah, well, that was October. 6 washes, I think it said. And it's still here. So I'm not impressed because my hair, once it starts anything, it kind of keeps it. So I've now got jet black hair, which is a little bit I should have put that further down, shouldn't I? It looks a bit odd, that. I might have to put another leaf there, I think. So I was a bit disgruntled, so I've got really, really jet black hair, which is quite severe, but never mind. So, and the fringe has grown, so I kind of scoop it back out of my eyes, and then when I lean forward, you just get this kind of dead rat look, which is not very nice. So apologies in advance. So I think we had some more there. And again, I cannot draw for toffee. So I really cannot draw for toffee these days. So I have to trace everything. Once you've done a line, you've just got to follow it and follow it, and then you don't make a mess of things. So again, we've got these kind of cherries, and then we've got smaller leaves. This pen works in all directions, so it's perfect for this. You have to hold it vertical because basically it's a tube, a fine tube with a wire poking down the bottom of it, and the wire is what the ink slides down. So quite sure, just do one. Once you've done one or two, you get better. I don't seem to get better, but I'm sure with practice you do. And you can tell my leaves are nowhere near like Johanna's. Seems to want them to be here, I think, don't we? That wasn't a bad one, but it was a bit small, so I'm going to have to make that a little bit bigger. And it slowly comes to life. It slowly comes to life. Now there could be a bark alert there because I just heard. And normally we know that 11:30's the postman, but of course, being Christmas, everybody's having a lot more deliveries. I don't kind of like these, I'm going to change them. You might not see too much when I add colour to them, hopefully. So, to there, and then I think we had some of those little ones. And again, sometimes they're quite addictive to be curling everywhere. So we'll just work up there a little bit. Half a coffee. So if you've got any questions, pop them in caps and I can spot them. Because sometimes, especially when I'm doing this, you concentrate so hard on what you're doing that you kind of forget everything else, kind of thing. And again, adding these little ones becomes quite addictive. petal that went a bit skew with. Problem is, once you've done it, it's in there forever. You can't really normally do anything about it once it's in. Hopefully, I might be able to get away with that one. It's a bit of a. I might just be able to get away with it. And again, that was a bit askew as well, that one. Sometimes you just got to be a little bit brave. That one kind of goes to there. Because as I say, this is Indian ink, and once this is in there, you can't take it out. So a good tracing is a good idea. As I say, just at this moment, I can't draw for toffee. And a leaf going there. Just about got away with that. So looks quite okay. Just about okay. I think so you've got to put that line there, which obviously Johanna's pen was different to mine, and she was freer, a lot freer than I am, so you can tell. Sometimes you've just kind of got to get into the swing of it, and again these little lines here, so they all kind of blend in. They've all got to look the same. Sometimes they say different when somebody else has drawn them. And that's a petal. And then these have got like 3 dots, a line, a dot and a thing. It's cute, strange. 1, 2, 3 dots, and then you've kind of got so if you put all this in, they will look about the same. So 1, 2, 3 dots, and then you want what's it, and what's it. So you're just about going to get away with that, I think. And then we've got I've got another one here to do. So you can, when you look at it, you can see how it's filling up. And I don't, oh, I've completely messed that one up. I have to just try and jiggle that one a bit. They're actually traced for me. I don't know why I'm making such a pig's ear of it. we've got kind of this thing going on now. I can just jiggle that one a little bit, I think. And then it's probably a good idea to have it in a comfortable position, because you need to be comfortable. Probably don't want anything behind as well. It's probably a good idea. You want a flat surface. And you've kind of got to have a bit of a natural flow to it, which if it's somebody else's design is a little bit difficult. If it's your own design, you can kind of just go with it, but when it's somebody else's, I find it more difficult to do that than make my own up. Nearly finished now, and then we can start the best bit, the colouring bit. I just can't work out what that is, so I'm going to leave it out because I don't think I want it. No, I think I've got enough from there. I think that's balanced. Maybe just a little bit of something here, maybe another leaf. Or a little bit of a curl from the ivy, maybe. Whoopsie. Oh, I don't know what I did there. I've done a kind of an upside down ivy leaf. Just have to kind of jiggle this a bit, see if we can make it right. Not sure about that, but never mind. I say you get sometimes a little bit obsessed by drawing. So I think that's full enough now. I need my trusted clean eraser, which I probably can't find. So if you have any dark marks on it, it's going to come out, so it's probably a good idea just to give it a bit of a clean, and then very carefully just really carefully take out all the pencil lines. And I should have done that one last because that's the one I've just done. Oh, this is the one I've just done, but I drew it, so it's fine. I'll leave it a couple of minutes. It's permanent Indian ink in that pen, and normally it dries kind of almost instantaneous. I don't know if I've got some pencil lines on that one. And then I use a fluffy brush because I always scratch my fingernail on it, and red nail polish. Oh dear, excuse me, red nail polish comes off, so I try not to do that. Because I want the nice ivory. Just have to have a look and decide about the lines. Not this many, and because you haven't actually used a fine, sharp, hard pencil, you don't get any pencil lines. If you used, you get more precise drawing, but you'll get a pencil indentation on your page. So that's why I use a very soft one. So I can get rid of that. I've got my 3 colours, so I can put these colours on top now because I shouldn't be using anything else. I've got my tablespoon of water and 3 thicker brushes, 4 medium brushes, riggers, and a tiny, very fine liner, 10-0. And that's the kitchen paper from yesterday, so you can see it's damp. There's hardly any colour on it at all. So to keep them in shape, they all need a bit of a twist. And that's, you don't waste any colour either, so I try to keep them in order if I can, just because it's easier to pick them up. So this is a bit bigger space actually, so I probably won't use these apart from the cherries maybe, but I've got 3 riggers from Dale Rowney, 3 1, 2 and 3, and a 10-0 liner. These kind of push colour around quite well. These are the Pro Art 5, 6 and 3, and that's the 103 series. And they're a really long rigger, but I do use them extremely dry with these pencils, and then you don't get any buckling on your pages. But for the beak and for any small spaces, and I suggest you do this kind of off camera here, sorry, off your page. So what you do is you've got a damp brush and you're teasing some of that yellow pure colour on there, and then you can really get into a tiny space. If your brush was a bit wetter probably. So we can give them, probably think that that's the mummy and that's the, so that's the wrong way around, because the mummy has the yellow beak. I think female robins have a yellow beak and the males have a bright orange, but I'm not going to be too bothered about that because I can rectify that at the end. So I'll zoom in and we can see properly what I'm doing, hopefully. Use my trusty. Hi Suzanne, welcome to Bunny's Designs. Yes, I've just made a coffee. I managed to make a hot drink for myself. if they forget to fill the coffee up on the morning. So I think we can see that. Just check to see if we're in. We've lost the sooty. We normally have sooty about. I use different things. The best thing is the big old diary, which I haven't even got down yet. It's up there. So, but my daughter's coming home from uni tomorrow, so today, so she'll be able to help me sort the room out a bit better. So I'll just put this into a bit. Better focus. And then the thing with this, the nicest thing with this is you can blend several colours. So if we want a bit of a kind of a red breast, again I can't really put a lot of pressure. So the nicest thing is you just literally scribbling a little bit of colour. So there's no blending, it's just scribbling colour. And it's a bit of a stylized bird, so I think possibly I'm just putting a bit of a scribble, and then I'm just having difficulty with this particular pencil, so I'm just going to kind of got this pencil guard, so you can sharpen your pencils with a blade. But I would use a Stanley knife because these scalpel blades tend to snap, so they're and they fly when they snap. So a Stanley knife with a new blade would be perfectly alright. And then you can use it for lots of other things as well, not just sharpening pencils. But don't use a scalpel unless you've got the Derwent guard. At about £5–6, and it stops the blade getting anywhere near you, so that's quite good. Yeah, just took that kind of edge off. Never sharpened these properly, so some of them have never been sharpened. Some of these got some wax or something on it, I'm not sure. But I want just to scribble a little bit of colour on there. The beauty of these is you can actually get quite a lot. Use lots of different shades. So if I wanted to, I could I'm going to put some colour here and then quite a lot down there, but I can darken it. See, that's the beauty of this. You can actually darken. You've got almost 10 different shades, if not more, of colour. So I kind of scribble with the pencil. And then I do all my fine work with a brush. So I'm going to use the biggest brush, but I'm going to completely dry it. Very, very, very damp. And the minute you touch your page, you know if it's going to be wrong or not. So I'm just going to go into there. And these are like butter. They just completely melt. And you can push the colour around where you want it. And if you haven't got the right amount of colour, you can go back. But that's damp, it's not wet, so your page is not going to kind of buckle at all. So you can actually either go over these little designs, or you can stay with them. Just want a little bit damper, but not too much. That's too wet. You can see the glistening. If you can see the wet on the paper, it's a bit too wet. Your page will buckle. I don't really want that, so I'm going with the 3 rigger. So what I was going to do with this one is tease the colour here, and then take it out to a highlight. So I've got a natural highlight there. So the next one, tease the colour out, and then take it to a highlight. Now you've got to have a comfortable position for this, because you're using your wrist to really get that colour teased out. But by the time it gets to here, there's hardly anything. Just maybe need a little bit more in there, just to give it that definition, because I want just to have a little bit more, so that it's just off white here and it's not looks like you've missed a bit. So if we continue bringing this round here, pushing the colour around as soon as it's activated. And if you take that colour back to here, you're going to get a natural highlight on the top of that tail. And you haven't done anything, all you've done is activated it and teased it down. So you've got a real natural highlight along the tail. And then under here, it's got to be a little bit darker. You always want to be short of your line, because you can push this colour wherever you want it. And hopefully I've actually gone over there. Now 2 things might happen. Just activate that and push it back up there, it should disappear. You can do this when you do watercolour, but you can wet your page better, so sometimes it doesn't always work. And then, oh, do excuse me with a cold this morning. Again, you can take this colour and activate it into a watercolour and then just tease it around. So I had two colours there, kind of tease them into two, and then I can just very quickly go back and just put that wing back together again because I've just gone over that. You can do that with these. You can't do that with the ink 10s because once they're dried they're set, but these aren't. So we can either stylize him or leave him as a little bird. So we can have some colour here and here. And we can activate this colour. And then just push it around a bit. And I think we'll probably just put this colour into here. Just see what that does, because I quite like the colours on him actually. To swap to my smallest brush. Oh, hi Mika, welcome to Bunny's Designs. I'm working in the Johanna's Christmas colour book, and I've been drawing around, filling all the spaces all the way around the little robin and putting some extra ivy in and filling the space. So just teasing that colour out. And then in here as well, just teasing that colour. And we'll possibly put maybe a little dark spot there. So we can, oops, and I've actually gone over that bit. So what I can do then is just touch the tip of this and fill in these really tiny spaces. And quite naturally, as the rigger teases that colour out, it gets paler and paler if that's what the look you want. And then I think I'll do some little dark legs as well. So if you don't have a point on your pencil and you're a bit worried, I'm just scribbling a little bit of colour into here. And then the little brush will just tease that into a watercolour. And there'll be enough to take it right round with a natural highlight. I just need a little damp brush to do it, to just activate that. And then if you want to put a shadow underneath the legs, you can build the colour up. And you can kind of get some really nice. If I'd have done that slightly lighter, always try and do your light. Try and work with your lightest colour. But there's a tiny bit of shadow on there. A tiny bit. If you really want to do that, you can go with it's a raw umber. Burnt umber would probably be too dark, but the sepia. And just you could mess about and put as much detail as you want. But if I'd have done that a bit lighter, I wouldn't have to do this. But if you want to get a little shadow down here, you can do. So you can get as much highlight and shadow as you want. So hi Suzanne and Kerry. Anybody else that's joined us? I'm working in my colour book. So I think that's going to be the little girl one, and he's going to be the little boy. So he should have an orange beak. So the first thing I need to do is to change his beak colour, because I put him the wrong way around. So we'll just orange his beak up a bit. And then again, just a little brush out. Oh, night, Carrie Ann. Do have a good evening. Have a good sleep. Thanks for popping in. Yes, you forget it's just nearly 11 o'clock today at the UK, but of course we're all across the planet, so we're all in different. So again, that's nice and dry, so just rubbing a little bit of that colour in there. Again, these kind of blend quite well, so I'm just going to just put a little bit of colour in here. And you don't need much colour, and you can go short of the line because you can manipulate it once it's if you put it at the bottom here though, you can get a natural highlight. just to the first little bit. And teased that colour up there. So I think my trusty little brush, I have number 3 because I think I just want that a little bit bigger, and activate that colour and start pushing it about. And of course even the little boy robins are a bit of a show off, so they have a brighter colour breast. I think that I might just actually put that like that, I think. Just tease a bit extra colour in here. So you can do it both ways. You can play off the pencil, or again just a little damp brush, teasing that colour all around. And then if you want some kind of give him some bright colour. So if you're pushing this colour around, what you can do is to get a highlight on that top there by manipulating that colour down there. Sometimes you need a little bit bigger brush, but these pencils work quite nicely together. You don't need a lot of colour, and I could just probably maybe I shouldn't have done that because it's not, if it's wet you shouldn't really put the pencil into it because you will never get that shadow to kind of come out, but just get away with that. Oh dear, not sure I understand that because I haven't got my brain on today, so you'll have to forgive me. So again, just activate that and tease it where you want it, and if you're very lucky you get your natural highlight without having to go in. So I think she looks like she's got dark stockings on now. And again just tease that colour there and then take it down to a natural highlight. do need a damp brush. And then just to give this a little bit of colour, a little bit of pencil that's kind of lying around. Not the small brush there. You can tease that colour in there. I mean, you can do them all kind of colours if you want. I just kind of wanted to do some paler colours today. You don't have to do pale colours. But never dip the pencil into water because you ruin your pencil. Always take the brush, a damp brush, and pick up the colour because you're going to get it just as intense. There's no difference at all, except for you wreck your paintbrush if you do it the other way. I think I'm just going to give a little bit of a dark, oops, and again try and do this off from the top of your page because you'll just you splatter your page if you're not careful. I think we might have a bit of a yellow eye. Not sure, I can't remember what colours they are. Just give a little bit of a bright eye. And I might just make his legs a little bit darker because it looks like she's got dark stockings on. So again, he's got a bit of a highlight there. You don't want too much because it will look like a drawn black line then, so never use black. Either use the next shade down or use the same shade more concentrated. Her legs are a little bit darker, but I could lift some colour, I think. If I wanted to, I could kind of lift some colour from here if I wanted to. Because it's a watercolour, so whatever you can do with a watercolour, you can do with this. You just can't do it very wet. Get a little bit of that colour because again you can't do this with the ink tens, but this is still a watercolour, so however many times you activate it, it's a watercolour, so it is coming off in little stripes. As if you really don't like it, you can kind of just got to be careful re-wetting that page. I would only do it once or twice and then I would go somewhere else, then come back and do it again a bit later, but I've taken a little bit off it. So I'm going to put these pencils back because I'm getting into a nasty habit of not putting them away. And then I'm going to choose the colours for my I think I'll do all the holly next. So green holly, what have we got? We have a sap green, which is quite nice, and we have mineral green. I think we'll have sap green. I don't know, I quite like mineral green. I'll just have a bit of a play. Again, my trusted here's an envelope. So if you're not sure, you can either scribble a leaf shape or so I've got 3 greens there, so I'll just activate these and we'll have a quick look. So that was the cedar, and then that was the sap green. So I've got 3 leaves and 3 greens, so I actually think I'll have that one for the poinsettias, or the ivy. I'll have the mineral green, and I use the ivy on the outside normally. The olive green. Then there's another olive green. So we've got a dark olive and an olive. Let's look at the olive colour. Yeah, so I quite like that for the ivy. And I'll use those 2 for the holly. And I'll use that one for this particular one here, mineral green. So mineral green will be scratched into here. So again, it's quite, you don't have to fuss and faff, but it depends on what you want to achieve. So I like this page and I spend a lot of time on it. So I'm going to use the mineral green, and again I'm just going to kind of scribble inside the line on these 3 leaves. And I've deliberately left the edges. I've got 3 leaves there. Oh, there's all these leaves as well. So these are the real ones. I'm kind of just not quite going up to the edge, because I can manipulate that colour when I've activated it. That is a petal. So this one is a leaf. And we have a leaf here. It's just a light scribble of dust, just a dusting, obviously. You're just pushing the pencil along. There's hardly any pressure at all. And that way you get an even coating. And rather than go over the line, I go just short of it. If you want a little bit of a shadow here, you can do two things. You can go over it twice, or you can do it afterwards. Sometimes it's easier afterwards, but I'll do it both ways, and then you can see. So that I'm going to activate that one now. So I'm going to use a slightly bigger brush. Oh, welcome back, Suzanne, to get your coffee. So I'm just going to activate this green and then push it around. So I have a lot more control. And by activating it and pushing it about, an almost natural highlight to the edge. So it's a good idea to move about because you kind of want a really natural kind of way. It's a bit difficult if you're this way. And I did actually teach myself to do it with both hands, but I broke my elbow halfway through. About 2 weeks before my final end of year, first year. And so I had to change my final piece and paint with my right hand. But I think I actually got a distinction for that one, so that was quite good. Messed up the rest of it, but hey ho. And I actually made Payne's Grey by accident. Because I was taking colours from red to black and black to red. So I had squares. It was for our colour theory. So I made squares and I took them where you could just before you could tell it was black, it was a reddy black. And the squares were the end result of is it a red black or a blue or a black red. And if you do that with French ultramarine and black, but it's got to be lamp black, I think. I don't think it's got to be ivory black. There's 3 blacks when you do acrylics. And one of my squares disappeared, and I thought, I'm sure I had 24 squares. Because I did 2 reds, 2 blues, 2 yellows, 2 browns. I did 2 greens, 2 purples, and one of my squares disappeared. And of course, what I'd done, I'd added just enough black to French ultramarine to get Payne's Grey. So and because the background, I used Payne's Grey as a background to show all the colours up. And of course, one of those colours disappeared because French ultramarine and black makes Payne's Grey. So never buy Payne's Grey. Always make your own greys. And it's very easy to find a grey. You put blue and red and yellow together and you will get a black. But you will get a cold black if you have more blue and yellow than red. And you will have, grey, a blacky grey. And you will have a warm grey if you have more red and blue than yellow. Because red is warm and it will warm your black up or your grey up, depending on how you use it. I just need to tease that Just tease that out there. So I had to train myself to paint with my right hand. So that was quite fun. So I was going to do very delicate work, and they ended up doing big squares because I could paint with a large decorator's paintbrush, and I masked the colours off. But then I got quite good at painting with my right hand. So it's quite handy when you're doing a very large piece. When I was doing one of my final pages, it was 5 foot by 5 foot, and it was all little tiny books. And they all had about 10 layers on them, so you had to build up the layers. So when you want a really nice line, you can actually train yourself. So I think that's a bit bright actually, but I'm not bothered. So what I'm going to do now, we said that was mineral green. I think I'm going to leave that because I don't know what to do with that. So I'm going to leave that, and I'm going to go back to my holly colour, which was the sap. Yes, that was sap. Put that up there, and we want the sap green. So this is for the centre of all the hollies. So again, I can just really carefully scribble. And if I can scribble with this one, scribble with this one. It's not quite the same as doing it left-handed, but I was just trying to save the thumb, but it's not working. Let's see if I can do it again. I could do it, but it would take me a lot longer. You just have to think. So there's some more holly here. Again, I'm just pushing colour about. And it is a light scribble. That's the only way I can. You're not blending. You're just a light scribble. So we want some more holly, which is up here now. So if I keep my page in the middle, the light seems to behave itself. So we'll do that. Get a light scribble. It's an old cottage. Sorry when a lorry goes past. We all know about it. Everything rattles. I do need a little bit of colour onto that one. think we've just maybe have to give a little bit of that one. So I'm going to actually colour that, and then I'm going to go back. Oh, I turned my, sorry about that, I've turned my volume down. Is that better? Sorry, I turned my volume down. And I've got a bit of a cold, so I've gone back to whispering again. Sorry. Sorry about that. So I'll do these in. Yeah, I turned the volume down this morning because I thought it was rather loud. I had to cut one of the videos off from yesterday because of a bark alert. And I realised that it was extremely loud, so I thought I would turn the volume down, but of course I've turned it down too much. Is that better? I was only waffling about uni days, that's all. I was just waffling. So I'm just doing one side actually. I should be using this colour as a highlight on the other side there, look, and I wasn't. So I can go back and again, this is not like the ink tense. Oh well, that's better, that's good. I can touch this with water and it will activate again. Well, it should do because it's Derwent watercolour. I don't know why it's not doing. And just touch this a little bit. Don't want very much because I want to highlight. So this is going to give a bit of a highlight. So sometimes if you touch this one across here, you've got enough to take it across as a natural highlight. So we'll just activate this one. So again, they just melt like butter when you use a bigger paintbrush, or just a damp brush. And all those scribbly lines completely disappear, which is really nice because we don't want streaks and lines. And because it's a rigger, it's a long rigger, it's actually letting me do, 3 or 4 leaves at a time, which again is nice. You're not having to keep wetting your brush, and so again that's quite nice. But it's only damp, so we're not going to get any buckling. I got a bit wet here, but it's still quite dry. But again, that's dried straight away. And just keep an eye on the dampness of this brush. But I quite like this bigger one because it mixes really well. But you've got to keep it damp, not wet, otherwise it will buckle the pages. Just maybe a little touch more colour there. But the damp brush just tease in a bit more colour. You just got to try and keep in the lines. So sometimes smaller leaf, smaller brush. But I've gone over the hour, so I'm kind of rushing a bit because I want to finish the holly before I finish this video. But this, remember, has got twice as many leaves as it should have. So you would have done this in a couple of hours, I think. So I quite like the idea that you can can do a page in a few hours rather than a few days. But I like the fact that that's quite fast. You can just tease all that colour out with a brush. So that's why you can stop short of the line. And so you don't need that very, very point pencil, that sharp point on it. So you're not constantly sharpening your pencils. I've taken a lot of wood off of those pencils, and they will be used because if I want any fine detail, I'll just touch the end of the pencil with a brush. I don't need to put that in, and that's good practice for your brush skills as well. So I've got just 3 here, 4, 5, and again you can either tease that way or you can tease long ways, whichever you find is easiest to manipulate that colour to the edge. And this should be just the nice timing to go for our next streamer today. And again, you don't want too much water on it, because the idea is it's just activated with a damp brush. And 2 little ones here, forgotten. And I did a very little bit of scribbling on this one, so I'm not even attempting the branch because that's got to be done with a very fine brush. So if I pan, I think I've done them all. If I pan out, zoom out, you'll be able to see what we've got done so far. So we've done our holly and it's all dried, and we've got our other ones done, so we can put the sap green. I mean, I could go in and do some more detail if I wanted some, make them a real leaf, but it's not really a real leaf, it's stylized, so I don't really need to do that. So I can put that one away, and I'm going to stop the video and then I'll restart it, and we can do it in 2 hours, so that should be quite good. So that's the end of part 1. Thank you for watching.